Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. It's the final days of our Black Friday sale. Recharge this season with a bundle of cozy, soothing comfort. Now only $17.99 for our C2 mattress and base, plus free premium delivery. Prices higher in Alaska and Hawaii. Check it out at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com today.
Hair piles in the house. She shed. Her hair was just everywhere.
At Rough Greens, we know dogs need live nutrition just like we do.
We have had a lot of issues with her skin.
Sometimes itching and scratching, lack of energy, digestive issues, they're not medical issues at all, but more likely they're nutritional deficiencies from eating dead food.
A lot of the nutrients just aren't there anymore.
The good news is you don't have to change your dog's food to improve your dog's health. Simply add a scoop of Rough Greens and make even the best dog food better.
I was truly amazed how fast it worked.
One of the most noticeable things is her coat doesn't have the itching.
He doesn't shed as much.
It wasn't even 2 weeks that I saw a drastic improvement.
We're so confident that your dog will love Rough Greens that we're going to let them try it before you buy it. Free. Just cover the shipping. Get your free bag of Rough Greens today at ruffgreens.com. That's ruffgreens.com.
I wish we would have found Rough Greens a lot sooner.
So good, your dog will ask for it by name.
So it seems that you have a dating problem or a dating dilemma, or you don't know what to do about this guy or about this girl or about the situationship that you're in. I asked Instagram and I said, give me your dating dilemmas and I will answer them as best as I can. Listen, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not an expert. But what I can give you is my honest advice on your dating dilemmas. So if you did give a dating dilemma, and I'm going to keep these dilemmas quite general so that if you did not give in your question on Instagram, but you are just generally stuck with dating and you have a few queries about dating, I'm going to answer your dating problems on today's episode. This is going to be very juicy because I've seen some very interesting dilemmas, which I think are very universally relatable because I have also struggled with these dating dilemmas in the past, but I will try and answer them as well as I possibly can. And also let me know if you actually listened to my advice or you decided to listen and not take my advice. But that's okay because we all do that as well. I always take my friend's advice and I never actually use it. I also give the best advice and don't use it myself. So this is all a experimental circle. There's no judgment here. We don't judge. We listen. What is it? We listen and we don't judge. If you know that TikTok reference, you're very cool.
If you love me, let me fly away. Maybe I'll come back to you. Maybe I won't.
Okay, so we're going to go for the first one. It's actually a friend of mine sent me a voice note. But I'm not going to play the voice note, but I'm going to summarize what she's saying. Okay, so after having listened to this voice note, I'm going to summarize her dating dilemma, which I have also had this dating dilemma in the past as well, and it's tricky. So her dilemma is that she's been single for a long time and she enjoys being single and she enjoys dating, guys and, kissing whoever she wants to and just really enjoying being single. However, she's just met someone and she really likes him and she could see them having, growing old together and she could see herself having kids with him and, she could see herself like really having something serious with this person, but she's young, she's in her early 20s and she really enjoys her singlehood, so much that even though she really enjoys her time with this guy and she really, sees herself with him long term, she also doesn't want to give up her singleness, if that makes sense. She doesn't want to give up not being able to flirt with guys when she's out. She doesn't want to give up not being able to kiss whoever she wants. And I get it. I get that dilemma, when you meet someone and they're like perfect and you really like them, but you're just like not ready to kind of settle down yet because you're enjoying your independence. You enjoy being single so much that you're not willing to I guess, sacrifice your singleness and to be able to go out and do whatever you want and not being responsible for anyone's feelings. Trust me, because I've been there, you know, I love being single now. You know, when you do really get to that point where, obviously, when you just come out of a relationship, especially if you're someone who loves being in a relationship, and then you finally learn that being single is actually the funnest thing ever because you really can just do whatever you want and you're not craving a relationship either. It's difficult to give that up because, you know, all you've ever had to look out for is yourself in the past. And, you know, you don't want to give that up for being now responsible for someone's feelings. And imagine you go out and you kind of want to flirt with other guys. The only thing I will say, I do really feel that if you met the love of your life and you met the right person, you would be really ready to let go of being single. Especially if you've been single for a while. I feel like if you really met the right person and the person that you really see a future with, and not even see a future with, because, you know, you can't project and look into the future too much because otherwise you're going to almost destroy that relationship because you have to think in the present moment. So in the present moment, if you really, really love hanging out with them and they really are, you know, you feel like they're your soulmate, you're not going to want to flirt with other guys. You're not going to want to, you know, kiss other guys or girls. You're just not going to want to do that because you're so obsessed with this person that you're like, screw it. Like, I don't even want to, you know, when I was super, super in love with my first love, I didn't even look, like I didn't even know anyone else at the club because I literally only saw him. Like I was so obsessed with him and that doesn't come around often. So I think if you really like this guy, maybe take more time, I would say, to get to know him without being exclusive. Like, you know, there is no timeline. You know, you really decide on what works for you. And if he is willing to also not be exclusive and, you know, you kind of just see each other when you see each other and, you know, you set your boundaries straight and you say, listen, I really, really like you, but I'm working a lot or I'm really enjoying being single and I'm not ready to kind of be exclusive with you. That's also fine. Like as long as you're really clear with that person about where it is that you're at, then it's fine. I don't think it's toxic either. I think, you know, if you're just still not ready to give that part of yourself up, you know, the single part of you, which really wants to go out and not being responsible for anyone's feelings and you want to kiss boys and you want to flirt with other guys, then you should be able to do that and not feel guilty about it. You just need to be clear to that other person, even if you have an amazing time with them, and just be like, listen, I'm really enjoying where we're at right now. I'm happy to stay where we're at. Obviously, if you want to be more, it might be a little bit difficult for me because I'm so used to being on my own, especially if you've been single for so many years. The other advice that I can give you, which is kind of different, is this is something that you could think about and weigh what you think is better for you. Why don't you try with this person to be exclusive with them and kind of, I guess, take a leap of faith, especially if you've been single for a really long time. It's very alien to you to be, you know, think about someone else and having to text someone when you get home, because that is part of what being a relationship is. You know, you do have to tell someone if you're home okay. You do have to tell them, you know, how you are. I mean, nowadays we can have open relationships. It just depends on what that other person, it all boils down to communication, because you really can have everything if you want to. You know, if he's fine with you like flirting with other guys, then that's great. You know, if you're fine with him flirting with other girls, then that's great. You know, the definition of a relationship is so different nowadays than it used to be. It just, you have to communicate it to that person. But what I was saying before is, why don't you try that relationship? And maybe you'll surprise yourself and you'll actually really enjoy it. Maybe you will like the idea of being committed to someone and them being only yours and you being only theirs. And you also have to think, if the shoe was on the other foot, would you like them doing what you're doing? You know, you have to think about it both, because karma is real and you don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. And if he were to find out that you were doing these things, and, you know, it's just, you don't want to hurt the other person. So it's tricky, you know, enjoying your being single, but also really liking someone. Again, you either take the leap of faith, you enter that relationship, or maybe you just don't like them enough and you want to keep them as it is, kind of like just, I guess, situationship vibes. But then it can get quite complicated. Or you just say, listen, I'm not ready right now and I don't want to hurt your feelings. So I'm going to stop this for now. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing and being single. And maybe, again, you don't really want to give them hope either of like maybe in the future, because then they just won't move on. But I've given you 3 options basically of what you could do. But it's tricky because I've been in that situation before, and I think you have to be really mature about it, because if you want to go out and get with other guys and you don't want him to get with other girls, then it's kind of unfair. But I'm sure they probably really want to lock you down, to be honest. So you got to do what's best for you. I would say go with what your gut feeling says, like sit and meditate on it and just like be still and just be like, what do I actually really want? Right. That was a really long answer. That is kind of a big dilemma. Happens a lot in the big city. You know, we have countless hot people here. So it's hard to choose one. But another thing I will say, the grass is not greener on the other side. It's greener where you water it. Right. This is a kind of a deep one as well. What if I'm not in love with him anymore, but I'm afraid to tell him? Okay, firstly, you need to figure out whether you're in love with him or not. It feels like you're not in love with him anymore, because if you were, you wouldn't be asking me this question. So you most likely are not in love with him anymore. And of course, you're going to be scared to tell someone that you're in a relationship with that you're not in love with them anymore. But the one thing I can tell you from my previous experiences, the truth hurts, but the truth will set you free. I have been in relationships in the past where they definitely should have ended earlier than they did. And they ended up causing so much more pain just because I was selfish enough to keep that relationship going, because I didn't want to hurt their feelings. But you end up hurting their feelings even more by dragging it out. And the best thing you can do, as much as it's so difficult, because again, you don't want to hurt their feelings, but you will hurt their feelings eventually, because you're not going to stay in this relationship forever. You honestly, it's just like a ticking time bomb. You may as well rip off the Band-Aid, because the wound will heal quicker the quicker that you tell him the truth. So it's going to be a really difficult conversation. It doesn't have to be as difficult as you think it is, though, because if you're honest with how you feel, there's nothing really he can do, because it's how you feel. He can persuade you like, oh, let's try this and let's try it. Maybe you do try that for a bit, but I think you do have to be honest with how you feel. And I feel like when you are in a relationship where it feels one-sided, the other person can feel it. They're not stupid. Energy doesn't lie, but you need to be clear with how you feel and end it before it gets sticky and, you know, you go back to each other and then you leave again and then you go back. I think it's just easier to just be honest. And it's so easy for me to say, because trust me, I've been in situations before I have not been honest and I've lied to myself. But by you not telling the truth and speaking your truth, not only are you not honest with him, but you're not honest to yourself. And you have to be honest with yourself. So be honest with yourself first and be honest with him or her. And yeah, it's going to fucking hurt at first. It's going to hurt. But you'll be so grateful that you were honest and that you spoke your truth, because it's going to allow you to leave that relationship and enter a relationship where you're going to feel way more fulfilled, or even just spend time on your own and fulfill yourself. But again, it's so hard. Like, it's so hard telling someone that you don't love them anymore. It's so hard. It's probably the hardest thing. I actually think it's harder than cheating on someone, because at least if you cheat on them, they have an excuse to hate you and break up with you. Whereas if you tell someone you don't love them anymore, it's like they didn't even do anything for that to happen, and they could be blaming themselves. But this is just part of life sometimes. You know, people move in different directions, and that's okay. Nothing in life is permanent. And as much as we love to think love lasts forever, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it ends with a certain person, and because you two have grown into different people. You know, imagine how much different you are from the person that you were last year or even 5 years ago. You're a completely different person. And some people are lucky enough that they grow together, but on a lot of cases, people grow apart instead of together. And that's fine, but it just means that you're going down one path, he's going down another, and he's going to meet someone on that other path that's more compatible to him, and you're going to meet someone on your path that's more compatible to you, and that will make you happy. Because at the end of the day, if you're in a relationship with someone, you're not in love with them, are you really happy? Or are you just lying to yourself?
We're just going to take a pause there and we'll be back after this break.
Oh my God, these are so, I honestly feel like I could go forever. This person said, I really, really like this guy and I get on with him like a house on fire, but I think he's still very attached to his ex. How do you know, firstly, that he's still attached to his ex? Does he talk about his ex a lot? Because, you know, it's hard because I guess you don't really want to date someone who's constantly talking about their ex. And you also don't want to feel like you're being compared to the ex, because that can make you feel super insecure. I think if you're dating someone and you get along, but you feel like they're still attached to their ex, and trust me, I feel like if you feel that they're still attached to your ex, usually your gut feeling is right. And you should listen to that and maybe have a conversation with them. Again, be really open with your communication, because maybe you could be wrong and maybe he's not still attached to his ex. But if he's making lots of excuses of like this and that, I wouldn't believe a man too quickly, you know, about what he's saying. So I would say if you feel that he's still attached to his ex, I don't really know too much context on it, but if he talks about her a lot, that's not cool. Observe it. Observe. As women, we should observe actions. Don't listen to words, but listen to actions. Yeah, I would say speak to him about it. And if he's kind of making up shitty excuses, then I would distance yourself a little bit, because you're going to be the one who's getting hurt, not him. It's going to be you. And to avoid that pain, don't jump into a fire unless you want to inflict pain on yourself. If you really love yourself and respect yourself, you're going to step out of that fire and cool down a bit and maybe reevaluate in like a few weeks. Or I guess also you could give him space and he might actually realize what is it that he actually wants. Never ever chase a man. I think if you think that he's still attached to your ex, I would retreat a little bit, pull back with your energy and see and watch how he acts. If he is also not that bothered, girl, you have your answer. Move on. There's going to be someone else. And as much as you can say to me, oh, but Chiara, I really like him. Like, I've never gotten on with someone like this before. And like, we have such an amazing energy. Trust me, if he is for you, he will be there. And the universe will allow for you to be together. But just for your own self-respect, you know, if you think that he's still attached to your ex, like, you don't want to be the other woman, number one. You don't want to be the rebound, number two. And also you don't want to be compared to and feel insecure and constantly, I don't know, stalking his ex-girlfriend's social media and comparing yourself to her. You don't want to do that. It's just going to make you feel shit about yourself. And on the podcast, like, I am so for making you feel so good about yourself. And being in that kind of situation doesn't look like it's going to end well. So I would retreat and pull back your energy and see how he reacts to you pulling back your energy after you've had a conversation with him. Have a conversation with him first. I have a situationship of 5 years of long distance and we have no contact, but he's viewing all of my stories and doesn't follow me. Okay. It was a situationship of 5 years, long distance, and now they're no contact, but he's viewing all my stories and doesn't follow me. If he's not taking action, stop giving it attention. He just wants to see what you're doing, but if he's not contacting you, he's not making effort. Just because he's viewing your stories doesn't mean he wants anything. He's just checking in your life. And honestly, I feel like I know this sounds cruel and I don't want to be, you know, sometimes you have to give tough love, but if he's really that into you, okay, he's going to break the no contact and he's going to reach out to you, but he hasn't. So go off the fact that he hasn't reached out to you and he hasn't contacted you. Yes, is he watching your stories? That's not a form of contact. That's just literally, it takes 1 second to view someone's stories. That's bare minimum effort. Maybe he thinks about you every so often. Okay, he's watching your stories. So what? If he's not contacting you, don't give it more of a second of your time, because he's not giving more of a second of his time to you. And that's the truth. Because if he really wanted something with you, he would have tried to make it happen. Because again, men are very simple. If they want something, they go and get it. They're not like us women giving, you know, like for us, viewing someone's story and liking their post is like a hint. But for a guy, it's really not. Like they're much simpler than that. Like they don't overcomplicate things. They're not overly emotional. They're not like plotting things. They don't think like that. Men don't think like that. When the man wants something, he goes out and gets it. And if he's not contacting you, it's just because it's really simple. He's not that into you. And I know that's really harsh, but sometimes you need to be slapped in the face with a bit of a reality check, because I would have appreciated that from my friends to sometimes be a bit realistic instead of being like, oh, no, he does like you, and like supporting my delusions. But like, you're not going to move on to someone else if you're constantly checking to your story to see if he's watched it, but he's not contacting you, girl. Like that's just the most minimal effort you could be giving to a woman. So do not hold on to that little single thread, because he could be going on dates with other girls, banging other girls, kissing other girls who, you know, he's not giving you any of that. All he's giving you is a story view. There's nothing. I'm really sorry, but just drop this guy. It's like bare minimum, a freaking story view. Come on. No flowers, no, hey, are you okay? I'd love to see you. No, let's meet up. I'll fly to see you. Because man who really wants you will do that. Trust me. I know, because I've been there. Even though that it hasn't lasted, I'm still single, but it has happened. You know, if a man really wants something, they will go and get it. Right. I feel like a lot of girls can relate to this. We've been dating for almost 6 months, but still won't call me his girlfriend. Girl. He wants to have his cake and eat it. Okay, another question. Are you dating exclusively? Because if it's an exclusive thing and you're dating exclusively and he's not calling your girlfriend, maybe he's just scared for the label. But if he's treating you really nicely and he is exclusive with you and you're exclusive with them and you're going on really nice dates and he's looking after you and he's taking care of you and he's being really nice to you, okay, just because he doesn't call you his girlfriend. Yeah, I know we as women will all want that label. Firstly, have you asked him to, you know, am I your girlfriend? Because if you haven't asked him and he doesn't know to call you that, then no one knows. And it's all very, again, communicate, people. We're not communicating. Communicate your needs to a man, especially to a man. Because if you communicate your needs, trust me, he will answer your questions. They're not that mysterious, men, okay? Women are way more mysterious. That's why, as much as I love to say I wish I could bat for the other side because men are very annoying, men are actually way more simple than women. Women are much more complicated, and I think we tend to overthink it. You know, women dating women is a whole, you know, I have lesbian friends and like there's so much overcomplicated emotions and like it's really hard to understand what's really going on. But with men, that you kind of do understand what's going on because they're quite clear. It's just you don't want to see it. Yeah. So if he's not calling you his girlfriend and you've been dating for 6 months, and if it's non-exclusive and you're both like dating other people at the same time and he's not calling you his girlfriend, well, because you're not in a relationship. Simples. Also, there's the other situation where you've been dating for 6 months and he hasn't called you his girlfriend because maybe he's a commitment phobe. And you need to be careful of commitment phobes because these guys, it's hard to lock those guys down because they just want to have their cake and eat it. So get with other girls, but also date you and have a girlfriend, but also be single at the same time and not call you their girlfriend because they don't want you to be their girlfriend because they still want to be single. So again, I think you need to sit down and have a clear conversation with this guy. And it doesn't have to be confrontational, but I think you should definitely speak and be like, listen, we've been dating for 6 months. I understand that, you know, we enjoy hanging out and like spending time together, but I just want to know if are we in a relationship? What is this? You know, you do have to have the conversation of what are we? Obviously, it would be better if it came from him than from you because you never, and I repeat, never, if this is one thing you take away from this podcast, you never, ever should be more into the guy than he is into you. Okay? Because that will end in tears and disaster and heartache. Okay? Trust me because I've been there. Yeah? I've been more into the guy and no. Equal or he has to be more into you. Okay? So if he's not calling you his girlfriend, I would call that a red flag and I would speak about it instead of being silent about it because you want to go on for another year like this? You don't want to go for a year not being called the girlfriend while doing girlfriend duties. Honey, you're better than that. You deserve better than that. And you deserve to be called my girlfriend. And for him to be proud of you when he goes into a room and he says, hey guys, this is my girlfriend. I would like that. Any girl would like that. Unless you don't like the guy and he calls everyone your girlfriend. That's not good. But if you really like him and you want him to call you his girlfriend, have a conversation, but don't make it confrontational. Like, why am I not your girlfriend? Because that's really annoying. And guys find that really annoying. But just be like, listen, we've had such a good time together. And, you know, obviously I want to continue this, but I would just want to know like where we stand. Like, are we exclusive? Like, you know, am I your girlfriend or am I not? Or are you ready for that? Or are you not ready for that? Like, everything is just a conversation. And I know it's scary because, you know, you're worried of, you almost deep down have this fear of rejection, which is why you haven't brought it up, because the worst fear of yours is that he's going to say, no, you're not my girlfriend. Like, I want to see other people. That's kind of the worst that could happen. But at least if you figure that out, that means that it will allow you to move on quicker. And you can move on to someone who will actually be so proud to call you his girlfriend. How amazing. Like, either way, it's going to turn out in your favor. So why not just be open and honest in your communication? Yeah. This is all we have time for, by the way. I feel like I've not done too many questions, but I wanted to go really in depth on those questions. If you want another episode answering your dating dilemmas, please DM me and let me know, because I'd be really intrigued to know if this is what you'd be interested in hearing. Again, I'm not an expert. I'm only giving you my own advice, but I'm pretty good at giving advice. I can't lie. My friends definitely tell me that I'm pretty good at giving advice. And I feel like I'm good at taking my own advice now because I've been single for nearly a year and it's working out pretty well for me and I'm pretty happy. So maybe just don't date any of these people because being single is the best thing ever. No, I'm joking. Relationships are fun. Situationships are not. Don't even convince yourself that situationships are fun. I know you're listening right now and you're thinking that situationship's fine. It's not. I know you want to be in a relationship with this person. Okay? Either you're single or you're in a relationship. Situationship, blurry lines, we don't like that. We do not like that. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you don't follow me on Instagram and TikTok, it's Chiara King. And follow King of Hearts Pod as well on Instagram, where you get lots of fun reels, and our TikTok. And if you love this episode, please give it a review. It helps so much with the podcast and its rankings and stuff. Share this as well on your story if you thought it could help your friends, or send it to your friends who you think are going through a similar dating dilemma, and maybe my advice could help them out. I will see you on next week's episode. Look after yourself. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. More self-love, babes. Because if you love yourself, you're not going to accept any shit from anyone. Okay? I love you. Bye.
Maybe I won't.